This is a story of progress, a story of one company that has rocketed to leadership in a key industry, a company that has become many companies and many divisions, a company that has grown from the few pioneers who started it to many thousands of employees, stockholders, salesmen, and distributors, a company whose history of progress has kept pace with the industries it serves. From the steam locomotive to the roaring high-speed diesel engines, from the first horseless carriage to the sleek, automatic, powerful car we drive today. From the Wright brothers' first airplane that flew a few hundred feet to the modern jetliner that streaks from coast to coast in just 5 hours. This is the story of Thor Power Tool Company, the company on the go. And this is Alex Dreier, radio and television's man on the go, here to tell you the story. Well, to prepare the story, I had to be a man on the go. I talked to people, I listened, I watched people working with power tools in factories, in garages, on farms, along new roads under construction. I found the answer to my question, just who and what is Thor Power Tool Company? The more people I met, the more tools I saw being used, convinced me that Thor has had a part in helping to provide nearly everything that is a part of your life and mine. Thor Power Tools built the car I drive, were used by the contractor who built my home. The refrigerator, the stove, the toaster, the mixer, nearly every other appliance in our kitchen. The furniture, the television set, the radio, yes, and the furnace, the washing machine, the air conditioner. They were all built with Thor tools, and I can go even further. The copper, iron, lead, zinc, and every other ore that is the basic material for so many products was drilled in the mines with Thor tools. And today, Thor mining tools are still boring out these and the new strategic minerals like uranium. The tollways, our city streets, the driveway, and the walks around our homes. Thor tools help to clear the way for them, were used in various phases of their construction, and are used every day to maintain them. I could go on and on. I'm more than convinced that everywhere in our daily life, Thor plays a major role. This company's progress has been fantastic. Its future beckons with extreme promise of even further expansion, of new markets, of products today unheard of, but keen in the imagination and planning of Thor engineers. Listen yourself to some of the people who use Thor Power Tools. Hear what they have to say. This is Ray Stanton, who is on the assembly line of one of the biggest automobile manufacturing plants in Detroit.
Man, I hope you can hear me over all that racket in the background. You know, I can remember the days that we used a Thor nut setter to drive one bolt at a time on a cylinder head in this plant, or on a wheel. Well, you know, today we drive as many as 24 bolts at once with a Thor new multiple spindle nut setter.
Here's what one contractor on a New York skyscraper excavation project had to say about Thor.
Well, we've got 35,000 cubic yards of rock to remove to dig this excavation, and we've just got so many days to get the job done. This big new Thor crawler drill is drilling 500 feet every day. One man can run it. And this big rig isn't the only Thor on the job. Just look around. There are Thor pumps and hoists and smaller drills and breakers all over this place.
This is Esther Ostrowski at her assembly station in a large factory producing table radios.
Thor? Oh, sure. We know that name all along the line. I had my doubts about factory work until I saw what the people here provide to get our work out better. These Thor nut setters are just one example of our modern working conditions. They're small, light, quiet, and they get the job done right, the way we want it. See those round things hanging up on the ceiling? Those are what they call balancers. Thor makes them, too. We suspend the tools from the balancers on cords. It saves picking up the machine every time we use it. This Thor I'm using is really handy. You know what? We've even got a Thor drill at home. I bought it for my husband last Father's Day.
Esther's remark about the Thor drill she gave her husband for work around the house reminds me of this absolutely fabulous do-it-yourself market to which Thor is a major supplier. Electric tools have been used by people around the house and on the farm for many years. However, this market didn't really take hold until after World War II. And girls like Esther Ostrowski, who operated power tools for the first time in factories during the war, had a lot to do with the sudden growth of the do-it-yourself demand for power tools. She and millions more like her, yes, and men in factories too, became educated on the things that can be done with power tools. Thor Power Tool Company recognized this trend at the beginning. The company acquired the pioneer manufacturer in the popularly priced electric tool field, Speedway Manufacturing Company, which had been producing for that market since 1908. Speedway now operates as a Thor division. The engineering resources of the two companies were combined. The industrial know-how of the Thor engineer with the merchandising mass production technique of the Speedway engineer. Immediately, a new favorite appeared on the electric tool do-it-yourself scene. Customers in hardware stores saw for the first time the famous Thor industrial name on a shiny new drill and sander and saw called a Thor speed tool. The combination of Thor and Speedway mushroomed. Speedway's volume trebled, and a new factory had to be built 2 years following the merger. Today, this division of Thor is setting new production records month after month. Yes, Thor, the name famous in industry, is now a household word among the millions of do-it-yourself tool owners. Listen to some of them and what they think of Thor.
I couldn't believe my eyes when I looked at the price tag on the first Thor electric drill I ever saw at Johnson's hardware store. I expected it to be 2 or 3 times higher than the others, because I knew that Thor made industrial tools. But by golly, the price was as low as the others. And boy, what a drill. I got one of the first ones at Johnson's, and I've had it ever since. Maybe one of these days I can get me one of those Thor speed saws or a bigger drill.
Now here's a schoolboy.
We used to use the Thor electric drill in our manual training class in junior high. It sure was neat. I always thought I'd like to have one, but Dad said they were too expensive. Then I saw a Thor drill in the window of our hardware store one day. It wasn't the same Thor I had in school, but it was a Thor, and it looked just as good, maybe a little smaller. And it cost only $15. I asked Dad to get me one for Christmas, and he got me the complete kit. You should see the stuff us guys make with it.
And here's a homemaker in Indianapolis.
Believe it or not, I had been after my husband for months to buy me an electric drill. He didn't take me seriously. He never used an electric drill and couldn't understand what I would do with it. Well, maybe people like Thor are overlooking the feminine market, just like my husband did. The average housewife can find a lot of practical uses for a Thor drill kit. For polishing, sanding, grinding, and yes, for things like drilling holes to hang pictures. I finally did get the drill, incidentally, so I know what I'm talking about. And guess who else uses it once in a while? My doubting Thomas husband.
Aside from the home workshop and the kitchen and the hobby corner, there are other fields, too, where Thor speed tools are scoring. Plumbers, electricians, radio and television repairmen, and scores of others in similar crafts require electric tools for intermittent use. Many of these people invest in Thor industrial tools. Many others are content with the lower price models, like Thor speed tools, which they can buy in hardware stores. Here's what they think about Thor.
Mr. Dreier, I just got started in the television and radio repair business. Now, I need an electric drill along with other equipment, and of course would prefer to have a Thor industrial drill. But I can't afford one right now. So for what drilling I'm doing at present, this Thor speed drill is okay. In fact, I'm not too sure I won't get another one when I need it, instead of investing in a more expensive one. You know, this is a lot better drill with more power than I thought you could buy at a low price.
I'm a painting contractor, and man, are we busy. Before we paint, we have to smooth the tape joints on the wall with a power sander. Long before Speedway and Thor merged, this Speedway orbital sander was the best on the market. Still is. Don't tell me about industrial tools being more powerful. Maybe they are on other types of tools, but you can't beat this sander. And the price is right for guys in our business.
I could have popped the other day when I saw an electric saw at a lumberyard store with a price of only $30 on it. And it was a Thor. I've been a carpenter for 20 years, and I know what a good electric saw costs. Well, by gosh, they let me try that saw, and it's just the ticket for ripping plywood and for trim work.
The painter's reference to industrial tools reminded me that we were talking about them before I got carried away on the do-it-yourself market. I guess we all are inclined to wander into the area we know best. Now, let's get back to the heavy side of Thor. What about airplanes? Well, I was looking through some picture files at Thor the other day and saw some early models of both Thor air and electric tools being used on the old single-engine planes. I asked if Thor tools were used to manufacture planes, and what the engineers showed me was overwhelming. Certainly you heard of Rosie the Riveter during World War II, when the wives and the sweethearts and the sisters of the men in service went to work building the flying fortresses. Well, the riveter Rosie used was a Thor, and that's only the beginning. Thousands of Thor riveting hammers, rivet squeezers, drills, screwdrivers, tappers, hoists, and grinders are used to build the planes we fly. This chapter is told best by an aircraft plant supervisor who has been specifying Thor tools since long before the 40s.
Manufacturers of the tools and equipment we use have a big job keeping up with the aircraft industry. The strides we've taken in the past few years have been almost unbelievable. The faster we fly, the more critical are the requirements in production. Thor is one of our major suppliers who have certainly kept up with us. I can remember when Thor developed the blind rivet tool back during the war when there was a labor shortage. This thing permitted one person to drive rivets in the plane structure without another man on the opposite side to back up the rivet. Thor engineers also gave us rivet squeezers that were so much smaller than the original models that, well, even women could run them efficiently. Just the other day, the Thor fellow showed us still another new tool we've needed for a long time. It's a pneumatic pencil that we use to etch identification numbers on parts. That is the first tool of its kind operated by air, and we'll be using hundreds of them. Oh, I could tell you lots more about Thor, but why don't you just look around? The tools speak for themselves.
And how true that is. Everywhere I went, the tools, the number of tools I saw, the incredible number of different jobs on which they are being used. All of this speaks for itself. Not just inside the factories, but everywhere on the outside, too. I was walking along a street in Chicago where a crew of men was breaking up the street with big air hammers. There were air compressors, an air hose, and carts all over the street. I stopped next to a fellow running one of the hammers and asked him what name was on it.
Boss, it's gotta be a Thor. Of course, it's red. And man, we fight for those red breakers every morning. All we gotta do is turn them on and hold them. They break this cement here like it was butter. This baby does my work for me. Ask the boss. He'll tell you.
And listen, he wasn't kidding. I've watched those Thor red tools lots of times. I never envied the men who run them, and oftentimes I've cussed the noise they make, but they break up that concrete just like the man said, like it was butter. He suggested that I talk to the boss, and so I did. And he took me on a walk around the entire job, which extended several blocks. And what he showed me really opened my eyes.
Yeah, all those red breakers are Thor's. See the hose running to them from the compressor? That's made by Thor, too, in their Cincinnati rubber division. Come on over here to this trench we're digging. Now, those little tools down there are Thor clay diggers. And that tool shooting the water out of the other end of the trench is a Thor sump pump. And now look back there where they're filling in the trench. See those skinny little tools bouncing up and down on the dirt? Those are Thor backfill tampers, and we really need them. The engineering specs on these jobs require that we tamp the ground mechanically to be sure it's solid. We use a lot of rock drills in our work, too, when we have to blast or dig holes to explore for gas. What kind do we use? Thor's, of course.
I had seen Thor on the heavy construction scene, the road jobs, building excavations, quarries, and pipelines. Now I looked into the lighter home building market, and a whole new concept of Thor and one of its many divisions was revealed. In 1955, Thor opened a completely new construction equipment division. Out of this development immediately came such new Thor products as engine-driven cement trowels, portable power generators, concrete vibrators, and concrete finishing screeds. Most of these machines were new or strange to me, so it was on the go again to see them in operation and to talk to the people operating them. Now, what was the reaction of the cement contractor to this new supplier in his field? Listen.
I sort of expected that an outfit like Thor would come up with better equipment if they ever got into this field, and they did. My men liked these new Thor trowels right from the start, and the vibrators, too. The metal straps in that Thor screed is one of those extras that makes it better than the rest. And these little Thor generators are dandy. They're easy to carry around. We can even get them through the average-sized door of a house. Yeah, we expected more from Thor than the others.